Let me ask you something. Have you heard about this? Rachel Reeves, the new Chancellor, seems to think that by cutting the winter fuel allowance for pensioners is a good idea. Yes, you heard me right. The money we get to help with our heating bills, especially in winter when it's freezing cold, is being slashed. I'm not sure if she's forgotten, or if she just doesn't know, or care, but we pensioners, the very ones who've worked all our lives, paid our taxes, contributed to this country in every way we could, are the ones who'll suffer from these cuts. Tell me, does she know what it's like to live on a pension? I wonder, because I'm beginning to think she doesn't, and why should she? Did I read recently that she and her husband declared a lot of money on rental income last year? Does Rachel Reeves know that, for many of us, that the winter fuel allowance is the difference between staying warm or freezing in our own homes? And does she realize that, with the rise in energy costs, we'll be facing even higher bills this year? The energy companies don't care that we're on a fixed minimal income. They'll be sending those bills whether we can pay them or not. Now, I know what you're thinking. But pensions are already set aside for people who've worked their whole lives. Well, that's true, isn't it? But if I tell you that the average weekly pension after a lifetime of hard graft works out to about £5 odd an hour, you might get a bit of a shock. That's right. Just over £5 an hour. Just a little more than a coffee shop worker earns these days. Meanwhile, the minimum wage is around £13 an hour. Can you believe that? £13. What's that? More than double what we get. So I'm asking, where's the fairness in all this? How is it that someone who's been out there working, paying their dues for decades, now finds themselves struggling to make ends meet on less than the minimum wage? What's the reason for targeting the old, the frail, the most vulnerable in our society? Is it too much to ask to be able to heat our homes in the winter without worrying about how we'll pay for it? I wonder, does Rachel Reeves know that many of us won't be able to keep up with rising bills? Does she know that there are pensioners who have to decide between buying food or heating the house? Because that's the reality for a lot of people my age, and it's only getting worse. And yet, here we are, the ones who've paid into the system, who've worked and raised families and built this country up over the years, we're the ones who seem to be getting left behind. So, Rachel Reeves, what do you say to us? What do you say to all the pensioners out there who've done their bit, but now find themselves at the mercy of rising prices and your cuts? Are we really the ones who should be bearing the brunt of these financial decisions? We've earned the right to be looked after in our later years, don't you think? We've paid into the system, and now we need that help. We need a government that remembers us, a government that puts people before profits. So, Chancellor, what's the plan for pensioners? Are we just a forgotten generation, or do we still matter? I would welcome your answer.